the BACE drop, day 2. Here we are at the Avfuel booth. Today was pretty crazy. It started off with the day 2 keynote. Ed Bohlke again dropping the 40 under 40 recipient list, where they highlighted basically the future of this industry, because we've tried to convey the full spectrum and the scope of the space here, and it's kind of fitting again that we talk about the 40 under 40 and kind of the new faces that are coming into the industry. And Ashley, you've got kind of a close tie and a connection to all this going on. So can you tell us the significance of what it's like to have obviously that recognition from the industry, and then what do you think it obviously meant for Billy and the organization and everything going forward?
So I nominated my boss, Billy Bohlke, who's the president and CEO of our company. He's also a pilot. Was one of the award winners today for 40 under 40, and it was great to see that recognition, particularly this time last year after we got hit by Hurricane Maria and Hurricane Irma in the U.S. Virgin Islands. He did a lot of humanitarian work to help the people who were directly affected. So it was nice to see that recognition for him, and to see everyone else that's influencing the future of the industry.
So I'm joined with Ashley Buzianis and John Boyle, which we found out we have industry connection. Maybe we'll come to later. But John, so again, you're a young guy here, and typically the industry has been older, and we're kind of, I almost say it's the apex point of this industry. There's a shift in the demographics. From your perspective, how do you see that influencing the landscape and the ecosystem of business aviation?
Well, first of all, we don't refer to them as older. They're veteran members of the industry. Experienced members of the industry. All right. But no, it's a real thing for sure, because if you look at essentially, I think we're on the front end of this tidal wave of technology in the industry. And I'm painting with a broad brush here, but generally the more experienced veteran members of the industry, grew up in an era where everything had to be in person, and if it wasn't in person, it was definitely over the phone. And as we see, I call them kids, but young men and women graduate from school and everything, they really don't know life without a smartphone or a tablet, and so they're kind of dictating that everything from airplane sales to fuel suppliers to interiors to anything that has to do with the industry can be done, within the palm of their hand. And so it's just forcing everybody to be a little bit better, a little bit sharper, and kind of adapt to new ways that has made things more efficient. And so it's not a bad thing. It's just something that everybody's had to adapt to.
We've seen a lot of market segmentation, I think, over the last few years, and one thing that I really noticed today was the spectrum of products being offered. We had the Boeing BBJ Max Genesis interior concept. We had the Airbus corporate jet Infinito concept through a partnership with Pagani, the exotic car manufacturer, and then the opposite end of the spectrum, we had the Cirrus Vision Jet, and so we really get this really segmented industry where you have different offerings and different audiences looking for those. So in addition to the age spectrum, there's also a lot of different areas where that's being affected.
Now, John and Ashley, can you tell me, so when you guys sit here at the booth, obviously Avfuel, first off, tell us a little bit more what Avfuel does as a whole. And then obviously, because you've got a full range of services, how does that play to, again, the segmentation of the industry? And in your time in the industry, have you seen that segmentation grow and get more specialized and custom?
So Avfuel in general, everybody probably thinks of Avfuel as a traditional fuel supplier, and I would argue that that's mostly true. So we kind of made our living for a long time specializing in delivering fuel from refinery to airport and to FBO, and so what we typically will do is we'll enter into long-term supply agreements with our FBOs, 3 to 5 years, and with that supply agreement we become their exclusive provider of jet fuel, and with that supply agreement comes a whole host of products and services. We always try to say we're taking the commodity out of the commodity. By surrounding our the lifeblood of the industry, which is fuel, with a whole host of products and services. And so so folks like Ashley here representing Bohlke, and we've got I think 26 other FBOs exhibiting with us here at NBAA. And again, part of this is just to generate some exposure for the different facilities around the country and around the globe. Give them the opportunity to meet with other Avfuel FBOs and other operators in the industry that will end up utilizing their services.
So like John mentioned, I work with Bohlke International Airways, the fixed base operator on St. Croix, and we are an Avfuel branded FBO, and we are the first Avfuel flag in the Caribbean. So, and we've really, we've really found over the last, what has it been? I think a little over a year. Yeah, that it's just been a good fit for us. In particular, the marketing support from Avfuel has been fantastic, because when you're a marketing department of one, it's sometimes challenging. So that's been great for our FBO. And to be here at the show, they do a great job with all of the setup and so it makes it easy to just show up and have almost everything done for you. So we've enjoyed the opportunity, and we find that within the Avfuel family, we still have room to be our very individual, unique self. So we've really enjoyed that partnership.
So obviously each flag, as you call it, each vendor of yours has its own unique personality. By and large, as a whole, again, when you said you're taking the commodity out of the commodity, and we mentioned earlier in the show the changing face of the consumer product. How are you guys continually trying to adapt to different buying behaviors and maybe buying preferences? Again, you mentioned the full suite of services, but from the sales and marketing side, do you find it that it's more disaligned than it is aligned with essentially two different segment audiences that you're trying to cater to? How are you guys addressing that?
Well, we kind of look at it as you really can't have one without the other. And so certainly when we're going around and we're looking at and proposing the long-term supply agreements, I think our FBO sales team would tell you that one of the strengths that they go into those meetings with is the opportunity to present our contract fuel sales team in particular as a product, as a service that's going to be an extension of that FBO's sales and marketing efforts. And I think Ashley put it great, where each one of these FBOs that are exhibiting with us and the other 600 within the Avfuel network, we call them the network of independents, because that's exactly what they are. The common thread throughout them is that they're supplied by Avfuel, but before they were supplied by Avfuel, they were all independently great brands of their own, and they all do things exceptionally well. And we just try to supplement their efforts with our host of services and products that we have within Avfuel to kind of complement what they're already doing.
So there was obviously a significant impact in this industry by the economic downturn in 2008, and some recent studies we've heard and we've read that there's been a resurgence in this industry over the last year or two. Have you noticed that? Have you felt the impact of that?
For sure. I think we, not to get too political, but I think anytime there's a major election, and you have to remember, my perspective is only about 10 years of doing this, and so I came into the industry right at the tail end of 2009, so I didn't really experience the full downturn of 08, but certainly we saw it in a little bit in 10, and then again in 14, and then certainly with 18. Whether you're on the left side or the right side of politics, there's going to be change, at once every 4 years or 8 years, depending on what's going on. And so leading up to that, there's always a little bit of uncertainty, or in really the aircraft operator's behavior. But once there is a result, people can kind of plan for one thing or another. And so really what we've seen is since, what was that, November of 15, I suppose, right? Since that moment, we have seen, a surge in activity across our network, certainly, and our business continues to grow, certainly as we bring on, more and more of these fixed base operators across the network. But I'd say in general, yes, we have seen a nice increase in flight hours and flight segments since that November of 15 mark.
I'd really say it's been kind of back and forth for us in the Caribbean in terms of business aviation. In the past year, there's just been so much slowdown with the recovery from the hurricanes that absolutely, natural disasters. So what we're trying to sort of overcome right now is people fearful of returning for vacation. They just don't know, what's what's available, what's restaurants, what's going to be open, hotels, so on and so forth. But we have certainly been very grateful for business aviation and jet owners continuing to come. And what we find a lot of times actually is these are the same people that own yachts. So their yacht can still be there unaffected by if there's a hotel room available or not. So that's one of the things that's really helping actually in the Caribbean recovery effort, is to still have business aviation continuing.
So how many kiosks did we say we have here? 26. Out of all the 26 kiosks, who's got the best swag or giveaways amongst the Avfuel brands?
She's got rum.
Well, I like to think we have the best one. So we bring Crucian rum that's distilled on St. Croix in the Virgin Islands, and so it's the distillery is like walking distance almost from the FBO. It's very close. So we have brought that every year. The Bohlkes have brought it for decades. So they always bring it as their show handout. So we always find it's pretty popular.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, Ashley's definitely put everybody on island time here, so with the rum. But now it's always fun to see what everybody brings as their own little unique signature gift or giveaway to folks when they come to these events. It certainly plays a big role in the experience of the event.
Yeah. Dustin, you got one more question?
No, I was going to say I grabbed one myself. So actually, you should come by and get yourself a sample and see us here tomorrow if you've got time. So.
Well, there you have it. Obviously, we've covered everything from age and generational changes to innovation and technology. This is day 2 of BACE. We've got one more day ahead of us. Energy's still coming along. And remember, come by Avfuel, get some Crucian rum. Stay tuned for tomorrow. We've got great stuff out at the static display for you. Take care.